93 people have been confirmed killed in the Maui fire that destroyed the historic town of Lahaina, marking the most deadly U.S. fire in a century. Forensic work continues to identify the victims today, with warnings that the death toll could rise significantly. Hundreds remain unaccounted for, while hundreds of others fill shelters across Maui after fleeing the flames. Arise News chief correspondent John Cookson has more.
Apocalyptic scenes on the once paradise island of Maui. Whole neighborhoods destroyed in Lahaina. The remains of the dead lie in the ruins of their homes. Scientists say at the height of the inferno, the firestorm reached a temperature of 1,000 degrees centigrade. It's Hawaii's greatest natural disaster. As a rescue operation swings into action, many of those who fled the fast-moving blaze say they received no warning notice of the danger they were in.
Pretty much everybody's saying the same thing, that we had no warning, no evacuation notice. So a lot of people were not prepared, that by the time they find out that it was time to go, it was almost too late. A lot of people got trapped, and it's just really sad.
Okay, there was no warning. Like I said, I was paying attention on my phone to the news, okay? Oh, it's so many hundreds of miles south. We're gonna have some strong winds. It's gonna play havoc with our trade winds. Nothing to worry about, okay? The next day, when the storm passed by, okay, all of a sudden, my apartment went black. I said, is it gonna rain? When we opened the door, it was orange from the fire, okay?
One of the challenges...
Hawaii Governor Josh Green says they're investigating their preparedness for responding to fires in the future, so there'll be no similar tragedies.
Over time, we'll be able to figure out if we could have better protected people. That's why we're reviewing everything. And we want to do that in a very open and transparent way. But it was complicated by the fact that there were multiple fires across this beautiful island at the same time.
Authorities are focusing on efforts and combing through what's left of the coastal area of Maui, using sniffer dogs trained to detect bodies. Lahaina will be rebuilt, but what's lost is gone forever. John Cookson, Arise News.
Well, Chief Correspondent here at Arise News, John Cookson, joins us live from London for more. John, can you tell us what is the latest you're hearing from Maui?
Hi, ladies. Great to be on Newsday. Well, the latest is that this search operation is very much underway in Lahaina, and I can tell you that only 3% of the affected ground has been combed through so far for bodies. They're using sniffer dogs, specially trained in finding cadavers. So, there's another 97% of the devastated area to get through. The death toll so far has gone to 96, and there are 9,000 people missing at the moment, and it's going to take a long time, say the authorities, to try to identify all the dead, and unfortunately, some people will never be found, much to, of course, to the distress of relatives who lost mothers, brothers, fathers, sisters, the whole gamut of family loss. And of course, it's a massive tragedy for the island of Maui. And really, the search operation is only just getting underway. It's going to take weeks, if not months, to get through all the debris and try to find the missing and, of course, the dead.
Well, John, your package was thorough as always, but in that we heard the survivors say that they had no proper warning. What are the authorities saying in response to that?
They're being very circumspect at the moment, and the reason why is that place, the island, is crawling with lawyers at the moment, because this is a massive multi-billion-dollar lawsuit in the offing. Already, the power company has received a class action lawsuit from a number of residents, and so I think the authorities are keeping their cards very close to their chests at the moment, because they don't want to say anything that might be used against them in what will be a massive civil action lawsuit against various parties. The 80 sirens on the island didn't go off at all. Now, these sirens are checked every month. They go off every month, and the islanders are used to the sound of them to warn them of possible tsunami, earthquake, or natural disaster. Not one of the sirens went off at the start of this fire, and that has to be a major investigation as to why that happened. Power lines were down, which knocked out the cell phone system, so people were completely unaware of what was going on. And this fire we're hearing today travelled at a mile every minute, whipped up by the remains of leftovers of Hurricane Dora and also trade winds, which have changed direction slightly to whip through the islands in recent weeks. So just a horrific scenario.
Well, reports, coming back from this are saying that, the death toll has risen to about, 80 people, making it one of the deadliest natural disasters in Hawaii history. Well, can we talk about what the cost of the disaster has been so far?
Well, so far, authorities there estimate at $6 billion. That's $6 billion. But look, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to take possibly trillions of dollars to rebuild a whole town. And this also doesn't take into account the billions of dollars that have been lost as far as the tourist industry is concerned, not only on Maui, but also affecting the other Hawaiian islands, because people, if they live on the mainland states and they were planning a holiday in Maui, suddenly decide that they don't want to go to the Hawaiian islands at all, not to Hawaii, Waikiki, or anywhere else. So at the moment, it's $6 billion, but that's very much a conservative estimate at the moment.
Well, John, based on what we've seen happen, in Hawaii, what are key lessons that could be taken from this to ensure that probably this does not repeat itself in the near future?
Well, as we discussed a couple of days ago, everyone seems to be agreed that climate change has deeply impacted the island, as it has all over the world so far, which means that the land was dried out to an extent that it's not normally so. Also, I mentioned the trade winds and the hurricanes. That has also dried out the land, and also the islanders have a habit of growing certain kinds of grasses that dry out very quickly, and if you put a match near them, they just erupt into flames. So a ban perhaps on growing those kind of grasses might be something that the authorities will be considering for the future. So a lot of lessons to be learned from this, and it's such a tragedy that so many people have to die before Maui and perhaps the rest of the world wakes up to what's possible these days.
All right, then thank you so much for being on Newsday. Arise Chief Correspondent John Cookson joining us live from London.